guys, what's up, and welcome to another episode of the Good Car Show. This is a special episode. This is a joint one together with the LOA Centre. So if you guys have been watching my content, you've probably seen this my co-host today, who was gracious enough to do an interview for Surya KLCC on the topic of mental health. The video is still available on YouTube, so we'll be sharing the links to that in the description below. So it's come to the end of the year, and this episode will not be touching the usual politics and serious social issues or activism or anything of the sort. We thought we could do something special, which is finding out why do you do certain things, and perhaps finding your passions behind what drives you to understand yourself better. It's coming to that time of the year where introspection, retrospection is the flavor of the month, if you will. And for some of us who are probably stuck in dead-end jobs, not knowing what our future will look like, and perhaps this episode will help you to find out who you truly are, and perhaps that will help you to finish 2025 with a bang. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome my co-host. He's one of the strong men at the LOA Centre, Mr. Sivapragasam. How are you, sir?
Thank you. Thank you for giving me such a amazing opportunity to come and unearth your why.
Yes. By the way, just on that note, I want to say this. This is not an endorsed episode in any way or a sponsored episode in any way or form. I just thought this would add value to people.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to be the guinea pig today. And Mr. Sivapragasam is going to unearth my why. So yes, let's go.
Amazing. So it's going to go such that, we're not going to read your profile. You're going to tell the audience who you are and all that. So I will guide you through the process. Hopefully, at the end of the conversation, like what I was sharing with you, two friends having a conversation, and we happen to be bugged. Yes. And the bug is the thing that is looking at us, right?
Yes.
So we'll take it like that. Knowingly. So we'll just have a conversation.
Okay.
So, I'm very impressed with the work that you do. I got to know you recently. I know that you've been doing it for some time.
Yeah, about a year.
About a year, right? I got to know somehow, YouTube is just amazing. It's funny, when some of my clients say, I was just talking about this and YouTube brought me this content, and then I was listening and they say, oh, that's basically by the grace of Lord. And this, and I was like, no, it's called algorithm.
Yes. Or maybe YouTube is listening to us.
Yeah, YouTube
hacked our phones.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So whatever it is, when it comes, it comes, and
exactly.
There must be a reason. And I'm so happy that we got connected through Prof. Tajuddin, and we were in KLCC Surya, and here we are today to see how we can add value to others by having this humane conversation about the why, which is a very powerful thing. Because all of us, even when I came to the studio just now, I was talking to some of the ladies here. Amazing, it's powered by the ladies here. There's something driving them, and just that you can't put your finger to it. What is that? Hopefully, we can try to put a finger to you, because I'm going to have this conversation with you.
Go ahead, man.
And see how it's going to be acting as an engine for you towards your future. I did this many years ago. Simon Sinek is just an amazing person who wrote this book called Starts With Why. It has been one of the books that has been a beacon of change in the LOA Centre. It took for me 6 months to know about the why of the centre. So hopefully in this half an hour to 1 hour, we'll see where it goes. My only advice is that once you get it, take it as your life journey to go deeper and deeper to find out more and more. So today is basically we're in the starting block to have a conversation. Are you okay with that?
I'm okay.
Awesome.
But just before we start, I think it's also good to say that people who watch this, and if you guys want to find out your why, so I think they can definitely get in touch with you and do it privately, or so we'll be sharing the links of that as well. So yes, please, sir.
Brilliant.
I'll leave it to you.
Okay, cool. So what we're going to discuss about first is, the first question is, can you please share to me, that is also the audience, what do you do?
Nothing much. You mean my profile?
Exactly. From wherever you want to start. Okay. And then we'll go into a certain area where you seem to have some passion.
Okay. So I started, I'm a PR marketing guy. So that's what I graduated in. And after that, I came back to KL. I worked in an agency, a PR agency. And I was there for about a year plus. And then I decided to go ahead and do what I wanted to do. Interestingly enough, when I was at that agency, I think I was doing well. My clients liked me. I remember my clients were like Sunway Lagoon and a few top fashion brands and all that stuff, sporting brands and all that. And I remember sending an email to my team lead at that time. I forget her name. I think it's Vanessa, I think, if I'm not mistaken. And I asking her and saying, look, I've been doing this for about a year. My clients love me. It's become pretty standard routine work. I want more clients. And but that never happened. So then I decided, okay, then I don't take holidays. I like to work, love to work, love to be busy. And then I decided, okay, I'm going to take a soul-searching solo trip to Yogyakarta. And I went there, and then I was walking across all these beautiful temples and artifacts, and I realized the people who built this or made this possible were people who acted on what they wanted to happen. Right? They didn't leave it to destiny or leave it to fate. They just wanted to build this beautiful temple. They made it happen. Right? All these kings and all that of history, and so came back the next day, first day of work. I handed my letter of resignation.
Wow.
And then I started my own PR firm called Phoenix PR. For some reason, I've always been a mythological person. I like phoenix, dragons. I think I blame my childhood. For those of y'all who are 80s kids, you know this cartoon, Dungeons and Dragons.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and all those cartoons that we used to watch. Very different from the Coco Melons and all that today. And anyway, so I called it Phoenix PR. And in about 6 months, I had gotten quite an interesting clientele. I did the thing that you should never do, which is I jumped into an PR world without having any connections, any network. I didn't have any backing. It was bootstrapped, right?
Wow.
But then again, it's service industry, so you don't need much investment when you do service. And after that, I expanded into stand-up comedy production. I love stand-up, and I love events. So I started bringing down a lot of Indian acts, South Indian acts. And simply because the market was just gaping wide open, because nobody cared enough to bring down Indian stand-up comics who were selling out across the world, even Singapore, but would never come to KL. So I said, why didn't y'all ever come to Malaysia? They said, no, I don't know. I guess nobody called us. And I did a few successful shows. I think I was doing that for about, this is now 2017, 2018. I did a lot of shows and all that, doing quite okay. Then I had a 3-phase plan where I said, okay, if I do events, I'm going to be an event producer. I'm going to have my own online ticketing system as well as a venue. So these were 3 phases that I had planned. So the second one happened, then I set up my own online ticketing system. So we were doing ticketing for a lot of companies, other events, sporting events and all that. And then at the brink of, finally, I would say, we had signed this year agreement, and this, I would say MOU or whatever, with PJ, with Jaya One. And so the idea was that we were going to bring forth a sort of grand plan that the founder wanted, the owner wanted, which is he wanted this program called Late Night Laughs at Jaya One. But he could never get a promoter to organize. So the idea would be that he wanted to convert Jaya One into a nightlife destination, right? So they have bars, restaurants and all that. So he wanted to center that around comedy. So I said, okay, look, good. I'll do 12 shows for you at PJ Live Arts. And then, we launched the program, and we did. In retrospect, I think it was it was quite an interesting time, interesting agreement that we had come to terms with. But unfortunately, the press con happened in February 2020. In March of 2020, lockdown. And that sort of derailed everything for me. So then after about 6 months, about 6 to 8 months, I had a team of about 12 people, 10 to 12 people. I can't remember. It was the exact number. And so paying salaries and paying all this just got to me, paying rent and all that. Couldn't do it. No income. Lost almost, I basically lost everything. So I closed shop. And then after that, I got this opportunity to become an investment manager. A portfolio manager, which I grabbed. I did it, and then
that was a job.
That was a job. Okay. That was employment. So at that time, I had already gotten married. I had my first child, so I wanted a bit something more steady. So the idea was that we had a property that we had just purchased, and but it was quite far out. So I wanted something a bit more central. So at that time, even now, banks are very cautious when it comes to business owners, right? I'm not sure now if they are, but back then they were very cautious. Business owners, they would say, I'm self-employed? They will, then maybe no. So I knew I needed a home. So I got this job, I took it, worked there about a year plus. And then during the same time, I started this podcast, right? The Good Cast Show, which was started simply because I felt that, there are 2 reasons why I started. Number one is because it's a lifelong passion. I would say I've always been attracted to the host, late night TV, I started off very young. When I was a little kid, I used to watch David Letterman and all these kind of people. And so that was a inner passion. But another thing was that I realized that a lot of Indians in Malaysia, even I would say, I'm not sure about in Malaysia, were not getting recognized on mainstream media, right? It was always Malays, Chinese, Pan-Asians, right? You needed to have a certain complexion. We were just not the flavor of any media house, right? During Deepavali, they would have the whole token series and all that kind of stuff, right? But not consistently. And then I felt that Indians, the perception around us was that we are gangsters, we are alcoholics, after we do all that, then we go back and beat our wives. This is the standard thing. So I said, instead of complaining about it, why don't I set up a platform where I get Indian people to come out and speak? Because none of the Indians I knew were that stereotype. None of them, right? They were all very good fathers, good husbands. They make money. Most of them are quite wealthy people, And so that was how it started. And so it became that sort of platform where Indians could come on and showcase, they showcase their intelligence, their success to sort of switch the narrative and say, hey, we are not that monolith of your perception, right? We are different. There are different faces, different sizes. We come in all shapes and colors.
Yeah, correct.
So that was the idea. So that's where we are raised. So then, after that, after signing the podcast and I was seeing sort of revenue coming in and there was potential here. So what I decided to do was I left my job as an investment manager because I had my second child. And then I said, I do want to be present in their lives. I don't want to, at this point in time, particularly, it's a baby and I want to be there. So then I decided, okay, so now what I've done is I've set up my own podcast network, which is in the development stages, still in its infancy, definitely. And Gurkha Show and a few other podcasts are one of the podcasts under there. So that's where we are today.
Brilliant. That's awesome. We know there's a lot of things that you're going through that you've been in this world for some time.
From time, yes. 39 years.
39 years.
Yes, yeah.
Brilliant. So let's look at it. You started off as a PR marketing with Sunway and all that, and then you went to Jakarta and you got inspired. Jakarta, and you got inspired with how the rulers, something was driving them. It could be the why, we don't know.
Could be.
Something was driving them towards whatever they were doing. And then you came back and then you started your own Phoenix PR. And then you went into stand-up comedy. You didn't do, but you were getting people to come.
Yeah.
Now I think there's a lot coming. This Alex in Wonderland.
Yeah, so I was actually the first person to bring him in.
Really?
His first show here was at KLCC Plenary Theatre.
Oh.
It was a 470-seater event, so we did it at KLCC. That was the first person because no one was bringing them in.
Wow.
And after I brought these guys in, of course, then you had Standard in Business. You have other competing promoters who come up. And so after pandemic, I was still offered, some of them offered to bring them here.
Okay.
But I said, no, I just didn't have the taste for it anymore.
Okay.
I felt that at that time was just after pandemic, recovery period. I didn't want to get involved with anything like that because event industry is a gambling industry.
Okay.
You put money, you don't know whether you'll get it back.
Okay.
So yeah, that's why. But all those guys came. And then after that was when you saw the birth of Tamil stand-up comedy in Malaysia, in KL.
Okay.
Then people like Joke Factory were doing Tamil shows. Before that, nobody was doing Tamil stand-up comedy. No one.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Pioneering.
Yeah.
The industry.
That was the only thing I've done, pioneer.
Amazing, man. That's cool. That's cool. You're giving voice for the people, right? That's amazing. And then you went into, then COVID came.
COVID came, yes.
COVID came. It's funny, our grandparents used to say, during the Japanese occupation, we survived. And then if you go further, World War II, whatever, right? Now, we can tell we survived COVID.
Yes,
so we have a monumental event that took place and we are still around and having this conversation without the face mask. Yeah. Whatever the vaccine did or didn't do to us, anyway, we are still around doing whatever. Now, you went into healthcare and then you were an investment manager and then you started now you're actually focusing in podcasts.
Yeah.
And you're doing an amazing job.
Thank you.
When I watch, it's not like a crappy kind of thing. It's just, it has some meat into it and you're having some good people coming. It's not just Indians. You have a variety of people who are coming in and having this conversation and it's provoking and some stuffs are sensitive. But I think it's important for people to know you're giving them a voice, right? Okay, now, among all these things, we were just having this conversation. Which is the one you feel you have the highest passion for it?
Definitely the podcasting. Definitely. Because I turned 39 recently, and I've come to realize a few truths in life about me.
Okay.
I'm not good at many things, a lot of things. In fact, even if there's a cockroach in the house, I send my wife. She does the catching or the killing. But
So you can reach further.
I can, but no, I'm afraid of insects. I don't know why they're attracted to me, but they just come. I don't know why. I mean, I've sort of come to a point in life where I've realized you have to be brutally honest with yourself to be happy.
Okay.
If you listen to the noise, then you really lose the peace of mind that one really needs. I mean, even you know, we are now a bit older, but so peace of mind becomes the main focus now, right? So one thing that I love about this is the fact that I've been talking on stage ever since I was 7. So because of that, speaking on stage or speaking has become something very, very, it's become second nature, right? Or it's become the nature of me, right? So then I funnily enough, in 2000, I must mention this story because in 2023, December, my wife tells me, so my wife's Chinese. So in Chinese culture, there's something called, I don't know whether I'm pronouncing it correctly, but it's called Pak Che. Pak Che is basically like a fortune teller.
Okay.
Okay. So I go to this. What she said, this guy is very good. Go to him. I said, okay. I said, she wanted to go. I said, okay, you know what? It's fun. I've never done this. So I walk in, and there's this big monkey god they have, similar to Hanuman and all that. Then this Chinese guy is there. And,
Tai Seng.
What is that?
No, I think it's the monkey god in Chinese.
Yes. Something other than him. Yeah. So then he does his calculation for me and all that. Then he tells me, he says, my gift is speaking. And if I were to get into that, I will go far. So then I told and it wasn't really he was telling me something new. It was just that it was an affirmation to what I already deep down I knew. But in life sometimes you listen to people a lot, right? It was this one guy called Miles Davis. He's a musician, and he said this one very interesting quote. He said, "It took me 35 years to learn how to play like myself." Which is, I think, is very powerful because all of us need that, right? To know what we are good at. So, podcasting is definitely that. And so,
That's
because of that, I
nice.
started this. Yeah.
That's nice. That's amazing. So now we have zoomed into what you do, right? Now, can you just explain let's talk about podcast now. How do you do it? What is your SOPs? What is your modus operandi on how you do it? Anything that we are going to do or doing, there's a method of doing it. That method can be your uniqueness of doing it. Since you're getting good traction, there should be something that is working that you're doing. Can you just share how do you do it?
I think it's like the saying, it's a question, is there a method to my madness or is madness my method? I think for me, it's a second. I am the most unstructured man you'll ever meet in your life.
Okay.
That's why whoever I hire, I tell them, you need to be structured because I'm not that. So I outsource my weakness, right? So I think the first thing when I started this podcast was you must have a plan. If you are going to do a podcast and if you are just going to say, I'm just going to come, I'm going to interview some people and talk, believe me, after 1-2 years, it'll die.
Okay.
A podcast is similar to a business.
Okay.
You need to have a product, which is your interviews or your content that you put out there.
Yeah.
Your content has to be a certain standard.
Yeah.
Content. People often nowadays focus on the audio visual quality. No, it's your content. I have met a lot of people. In fact, one person we know in common is Prof Tajuddin.
Yeah.
Prof Tajuddin numbers are really amazing in his YouTube. But all he does is stare into his, I don't know whether it's a laptop or webcam or what, it's blurry and he just talks. There's no editing.
It's just amazing.
Just me. But because his content is there, it goes the distance, right? So that's one thing that I put an emphasis on. I think recently and one thing that I do is I never focus on views. I did midway through this journey. I think 6 months ago, 4 months ago, I got caught up in the views. In fact, I just posted something on my LinkedIn and I shared this story how when I focused on the views, my content started becoming really bad. And it's not the fault of the guest, it's completely mine because you're not thinking, how am I going to put out the best product? You're thinking, what am I going to say or ask that will get the most views? And it's like viewership on social media, engagement, virality, all these terms are like stardust. It's illusion. It's like chasing a ghost. You will never find out the answer. Okay, people may quote, Mr. Beast and all these people, but Mr. Beast spends about 100 million per episode, so he has that resources to spend. But for the rest of us, I think if you focus on the content that's there, and nothing that I do is I always make sure that the guest that I get is suitable to the niche that I am delivering to the audience. Because at this point, my audience are people who are very certain what they want. When they watch a video that I put out, they know, okay, this is what I'm going to get. So you have to honor that. Because I feel like as a marketer, I always look at it like this, and this is what people don't do, a lot of them, is on the other side of the screen is a person with emotions, with expectations, right? So if you were to just put out a content for the sake of putting, which I did a few months ago, it won't do well because you are cheating the person. You're being disingenuous. You lack integrity because you're just saying, okay, I'm just going to put this out. I just need to put out some content, so whatever. But you're not honoring the fact that somebody just took time out of their day to watch your content. So because of that, at the very least, meet their expectations in what they see. Whether or not, like for example, just today I posted a video interview I did with somebody from the Madani government, right? I know very well my audience is going to hit this guy. It's just how the political sentiment is. And sure enough, the content saying, PMX, this, yeah. But at least you're giving them that opportunity to express their opinion. So they're invested. So I think these are things I put a great premium on to make sure that, to help me. I don't think I'm that big because there's a lot of much bigger podcasters than me. I'm very small. But this is what I do. Yeah.
Brilliant. So the content is to engage actually the viewers.
Viewers, yeah.
Viewers are the one, who's actually wanting to come back again and watch that again. Otherwise,
I give an example. I did an interview with Suganti Subramaniam, who wrote the book The Life of Bentong Kali.
Okay.
Now, you probably know who Bentong Kali is, correct? So what was interesting was, because I've seen other people do book reviews, right? They take the book and then they just ask some simple questions and then, okay, please buy, please buy, please buy.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to buy it because you're being disingenuous.
Yeah.
So what I did was I structured it like a story. I sort of modeled it against interviews that I've seen about books that I love. So we took the characters, we talked about the characters in the book. And funnily enough, because of that, people asked to buy. Because now you're not doing that hard sell, buy. No, you're getting them involved in a story.
Yeah.
And then, wow, that's a nice story. Okay, because in marketing, I feel people they don't want to be marketed to. They want to feel like the decision to buy is theirs.
Absolutely.
That's the magic. Yeah.
That's how Apple sells their product. They don't sell, I'm selling a phone. They're selling a lifestyle.
Yes.
They happen to make a phone.
Yes.
Right?
The phone is a side thing.
The phone is a side thing.
Yeah.
They think differently and all that. That's their why, right? So amazing. So the content is the main thing that you're looking at. It's basically to honor the viewers and also to be fair to the person that you're interviewing also.
Yeah.
Because they're coming with their content.
Yeah.
And it's your prerogative and you must be really choosing it well.
Yeah.
Whether you're going to put this person for this content because there's a viewership out there.
Correct.
That's very important. So it's very important. Okay, cool. So this is how you do it, right? And then the rest is basically mechanism, bring them,
Editing
sets of questions and then that one, never mind. You know how to do it. Cool. Let's go deeper. Now, let's find out why you do this, right? So tell me, why do you do this then? Why do you need to get some contents coming in? And why do you want to do this podcast? You just said content is the thing. Why do you think it's really, really that important for the content to be in the center of everything? Is it the viewership alone? Or what is that is in you that is driving you?
I just think that when it comes to the podcast particularly, it's just that, like I said earlier, it's giving a platform to people who are deserving of it.
Okay.
Right? And not say in terms of deserving, I'm not saying that they need to be a certain income bracket or certain status, social status. No. But somebody who has a good opinion and a good thought process. Right? So you give them that platform.
Okay.
Because they will not get that platform anywhere else.
Okay.
Right? Most mainstream media only interview people of certain caliber and all that. So you're losing out this big group of people who have interesting opinions.
Okay.
I've done interviews with teachers who have said things that have done very well.
Yeah.
Where else I have brought in people who are so-called famous, but the numbers were not there.
Correct.
Right? So it's all about that. Why I think I do it and put out this content is simply because there is no, I think in Malaysia, let's look at politics, for example. The political landscape in Malaysia is very jaded. The electorate are jaded. A lot of them are disillusioned, right? From what has been happening. Ever since the Sheraton move, it has resulted in voters who are just not interested because for them, the whole overarching sentiment is whatever I do also is the same thing.
Yeah.
Right? I can vote for you, but tomorrow suddenly there's a change of government that I did not vote for.
Yeah.
It can happen. I didn't know it's possible either. So when I saw this, I realized that, but despite that, voters need to be engaged because a healthy democracy is when you have an engaged audience. And mainstream media does not tell you everything. Right, obviously, because they are controlled by powers that be.
Yeah.
So this content, like especially the political content that I put out, is always challenging, or it's always giving inside information, or not inside, but sort of giving information you may not know or may not be privy to, may not have read, and challenging the norms or challenging the current norm where it's saying, politics is whatever. That's why. So that's why very important. Like I wanted to be different from podcasts like Los Kejap and all that, who generally play the wave. They ride current trends, right? If there's a current topic, they talk about it. They don't really analyze. They become commentators, just commentators. So my guess, especially I've had people like Vaidya Murthy, I've had people like, from the other side, I had people like, what's his name, Dato Karunathan. I've had, a few other people who have shared different opinions. So the choice of what to believe and how to vote is yours. Yeah, that's the why, I think.
All right.
To sort of reinvigorate this or revitalize the voter to say, okay, this is interesting and I still need to be involved.
Now, you also mentioned that when you didn't do it properly, it cost you something.
Yeah.
It cost you the viewership, the numbers didn't go up. So what does that mean to you in a feeling wise?
No, actually what it cost me was this. It cost me my passion. So at one point when I was just bringing in people for the sake of dishing content out, because eventually you get this stage where you're like a machine. You have to put out content, right? So, and I, being me, sometimes I overdo it when I tell myself, I'll tell myself, every day I must put out a video. Right? So that's a lot of videos, interviews you need to do. So what happens is eventually then what I lost was I started getting very tired because I'm like, this interview wasn't nice. You don't come out of an interview feeling good about yourself. Because if the interview is with somebody whose message is perfect for your audience, you know that they're going to like it. Whether they view it or not is not really the problem, but you know that they are going to like it if they view it. But for me personally, I feel a sense of satisfaction, a sense of contentment, like, this was a good interview and this was something that really worked and the people and my guests really delivered what I hoped he would deliver. Like recently I did one with Harith Iskandar. That was an interview that I really liked because I walked in the interview with a certain strategy, how I wanted to do it. I didn't want to talk politics. I didn't want to talk, Harith, you're Malay. What about other Malays? I've asked these questions 10,000 times. I'm so bored. So we did a deep dive on comedy. A very serious take. So what happened after that was, maybe the views were not astronomical as you would hope if you brought down Harith Iskandar. But that doesn't matter to me because what matters is I walked out feeling, wow, I really like the interview. And people whom I've met who watched it said, wow, we really like the interview. That was very different.
Nice.
So that's what you want. You want that sense of accomplishment.
So that passion you're talking about, right? With Harith, you had that feeling in bringing up. And funny thing is that it's connected to your comedy, stand-up comedy and all that. So there is something brewing, I guess. So let's go into your... now, if you don't do it properly, it does affect your passion.
Definitely.
You know that... And you said it right. You know it even before finishing it. The moment you walk out, you know, this is not. It's like leaves a bitter taste, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Now let's go into childhood for a while because you did mention about certain things, about you giving a talk. You were in public 7 years old. You're doing public speaking and all that. Can you go back to one moment in your childhood where it's so vivid, where something really happened, and I want you to go to that point. It is so vivid for you and you are able to see everything very clearly. Can you go to the moment of your life where you would have felt certain way because you were doing something? Or maybe there could be someone there. So could you go to a place?
Okay.
Can you please explain what's happening?
No, but this is
Not
in relation to
childhood.
my speaking, or
No. Don't worry.
I think, the first thought that comes to mind is because we're talking about this. So I think I'm going back to when I was 12.
Okay,
and
12.
I remember there was this. Where was I? I was in Kluang. Kluang,
Kluang, okay.
Kluang, Johor. So I was in school, and let's just talk about it to paint a story. I think that's the best. So when I was a little kid, and I was very, very little, I was, I think, 6, 7, around that, I used to have a horrible stutter.
Horrible stutter.
I would stammer all the time. And so what would happen is I would go to family homes and no one will speak to me. Because to be fair to everyone, talking to somebody who stammers is very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Right? You're talking, you're waiting for the answer and you're like, okay, hurry up, man, land your plane. And, so I would always be that boy who will sit in the corner.
Okay.
I will just watch everything. People will be talking and all that. I couldn't even say hi. I couldn't say hi. Good night was a challenge, kind of stuff like that. So my mother, being my mother, decided the best way to overcome it is to put me on stage. Till today, I don't understand the logic behind that. I can never understand the logic behind that. So she trained me. We were training public speaking and all that. So I remember I did my first contest when I was 7. And there was this, and I was the first contestant to go up. Thanks to one lady. I know who you are, by the way. She's a close family friend. So she placed me as first because she wanted the school to win. The school did win, but years later, so then I started taking part. My mother would force me, go. And so what happened, I won the Kluang level, the district level, then we went to state level. So that was when I was 12.
You were still, this time your stutter was
then it was less and less. But when I went on stage, I was just normal.
Okay.
It was weird. It's like before I go on stage, I'll be like nervous and oh my God, they're going to call my name. But when I went on stage, I was home. It's weird. It's very...
Are you able to see that moment?
Yeah, definitely.
Can you tell? Just...
Which moment? Like on stage?
On stage, the first time when you went up and then you were an autopilot?
Yes.
Okay, is that something significant in your life? Or something significant? I wanted to go to a place where it's significant.
Yeah,
there's people around, okay?
Yeah, there's people around. So I go up on stage. I remember they called my name, and we were in Segamat. Yeah, they called me, right? So as always, I'm the first person. Okay. I was like, how does this keep happening? So I'm sitting there, I'm nervous, and I see this row. I remember I'm sitting in this row. Also, at that time, they will separate you, SRK, SK, and all this, right? Okay. SJKT and all this. So I was SRK, first category. I was the first. So I go up. And I see all this and all that. And we start I remember my mother and father sitting there, right? So my mother has this very bad habit, which I pointed out to her. So when I'm talking on stage, she'll be like, doing it, trying to contact me. So I said, don't do that. Okay. So my father also agreed. He said, don't do that. You're throwing him off. So my mother, the whole time talking, she's just looking at. Literally, I'm on the stage, she's looking at, because she don't want to get her best to look away, right? And I deliver, and I remember there was one teacher, her name was Puan Serjit. I don't know if she's still alive. And she was the head mistress of my school. She was also one person who liked me. She tragically lost her son when he drowned in I think, when they went to a waterfall. And I think she took me in like someone who's like sort of like a parental figure she was. I guess so. And so she was training me as well. I'm just saying because she's a very nice lady. And... so then what happens is I finish talking, I give my speech, I get down, go back, and I remember this one Chinese girl, I won't forget her. She starts her speech with a scream.
Oh, wow.
She talked about abuse, I think, child abuse. So we all had to talk about very serious topics. I don't even know what my topic was. I think it was something about forefathers. Yeah, okay. I think so. It was that topic was chosen for me. I don't even know what that was. I couldn't understand what it was back then, right? So she screams. And she screams, and then everyone's like, whoa, what is this? But unfortunately, something happens to her audio. So she has to restart. But still, that shock factor is there, right? Okay, she talks, and then everyone, they finish like SK, SJKT, everything they finish that. So we go to the prize. So for those of you all who are new kids, I think back then we had consolation prizes, but consolation prizes basically meant thanks for participating. Okay, so can you imagine? Yeah. This is Johor State, so there's a lot of SRKs there, right? All the districts are there. And then before that, I asked my father, I said, I asked my mother, what do you think? My mother's so nervous. She's like, I don't know, Vinod. I don't know what I think she also...
She didn't see you speaking.
No, she could hear, she didn't see, right? So she's also nervous. She wants to win and all that. Yeah. And my father is just being a father, like, very cool and composed. I'm sure inside there's a storm, but fathers are, right? So then they start from last place, consolation. And then it goes to top 5. And I was like, oh, shit. And then the best moment was, so they say number 3. So left 2 people. It was me and this Chinese girl. And they say her name. And you won't believe, my father just screamed. My father screamed. And everyone looks at him like, he's like, yeah! And he's like, oh, shit, okay. And then we won, right? So, so I won. And I think that was a nice moment.
Can you remember that time?
Oh, yeah.
What was the feeling that was coming to you?
I remember walking up the stage. I mean, I think I was confused.
How you felt? Confused is one thing.
Confused is one thing because, you win. But just one more thing I want to say. So when we left, so we were staying Klong. So we left to Sagama. We woke up 4 a.m, got ready, went to Sagama. And I remember my mother, okay, you have to practice one more time. So, but we need a space. So we went to this construction site that was a home taman. Somehow we got in there. My father with his Proton Vira, I remember. And then the lights are on, headlights. So I'm standing in front. I was like, okay, practice. And then behind me, all these workers are like, what's going on here? And I'm like, forefathers and all that. Anyway, so I go on stage and I remember collecting the prize. And for some reason, they gave like one book. I remember Plangi was the name. I don't know the Plangi. Is Plangi still there? Maybe, I don't know. They gave one book and then one CJL and then one trophy. Then they give a challenge trophy. And this 12-year-old boy is supposed to carry everything.
Wow.
So this is stupid, right?
And he won a starter.
Yeah. And then my father, being football, he's like, put it up. I couldn't even hold anything. But yeah, it was very confusing. I don't confusing. Like, it was too much to handle, right? Okay. But I think after that moment was when you sort of believe that, okay, I can do this. So I think that was the moment, yeah.
Believe?
That this is something I can do. So then after, when I went to secondary school, I didn't really take part in a lot, but I was just confident on stage. And I was a debater for a while and then, stuff like that. But the really focus on public speaking was when I was in primary school. And then after that, of course, when I graduated, when I was in uni, I was very active in Toastmasters again, just to to sort of refine your craft and to be, to work at it, right? And but that was the moment.
Do you feel this belief that I can do has been traveling with you whenever you see anyone, even when someone is actually giving a talk in your podcast? Do you feel that they can do?
Yeah.
Whoever that you see, you believe in that.
Like I can speak to anyone.
You can speak to them.
Yeah.
You can speak to, and you also see that in another person, that they can do better too.
You mean in
anyone that you see,
like they can do better than what they are currently doing? Yeah, definitely.
You can see
definitely.
that.
Yeah.
And how do you feel if you're able to be an enabler in that?
Oh, perfect. Yeah, it's perfect.
Good.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah.
Is there any situation where you made that to come true?
I don't think I made that to come true, but I remember there was one time I was in this Sai Baba Centre, weirdly enough, because I was dating a girl from that centre actually. It's not because I'm a Sai Baba devotee, but and this boy
you were devoted to
somebody else, not to Sai Baba. Yeah, I remember I went there, and then there was one event, and they all had wore white. So then but I didn't know. So I I walked in with my jeans and Manchester United jersey, I guess, and then this guy comes up to me and say, you have to wear white, So I said, well, I guess the two people who are not in sync is me and Sai Baba. So stupid thing to say. But anyway, so I remember I saw this boy who also had a stammer. So now when I see people who stammer, it's very close to my heart because I want to, I always tell them, look, this is what you need to do to get over it. I think what I don't like about society is sometimes our politeness is actually a mask for our apathy, our lack of bother. Like when we see somebody stammering, we don't approach them and say, okay, this is how I need to do, this is what I need to do. Yeah, it may be cruel, but you need to be cruel to be kind sometimes, right? Years from now, when that girl can speak fluently, they're going to thank you for it, right?
Yeah.
So I know this boy was stuttering and everyone around him was a bit awkward around him. So I just walked up to him. I said, look, I know you have a stutter. I used to have a stutter as well. But this is what you need to do. You need to read, sing a lot, these type of things, and then you'll overcome it. I mean, at the end of the day, everything is like a muscle. You keep working at it, and it gets better.
Yeah.
So I think that part, I've sort of been part of Toastmasters clubs. I founded clubs whereby I've seen people come in and very shy, very timid, and then 6 months later they are confident, they're talking on stage and all that. So but I don't think it's because of me, but I think I was just part of the apparatus lah. That sort of, I was lucky enough to be there. Yeah.
And it's also traveling to you, working with comedians and all that. They all, need to have the guts to go up and talk.
Yeah.
And somehow there is a link here and there where your stuttering has taught you a lesson in whatever way, made you to feel that I can do it. And you're bringing it out to everyone to express themselves out in whatever way through this podcast. Now back to the time that your mom and all that you were telling, but let me go into who would be your role model in your life if you look at it, in someone that you really, really look up to in whatever age that you feel role model.
Good question. Role model.
Could be anyone.
Definitely. Of course, the cliche thing would. I hate it when people say it's their parents. I find it so cliche. Oh, my mother and father. Nobody's parents are that great. Let's be honest. But I think definitely the person that comes to mind definitely would be, in the sense of podcasting, in the sense of speaking, definitely would be my mother. Because and also my father. I think being it's funny. A father-son relationship is a very contentious relationship. It's a very difficult relationship. I don't think because it is difficult. I think because we sort of project what society tells us what a father-son relationship should be. Now that I am a son and am a father, I understand that. But definitely my mother. I think especially in this topic we're talking about, I think she's the one who sort of made me, when I won that, I think deep down I realized that I can do it. And I can talk. So, in fact, previously you asked, now that belief is to a point where, for me, I'm not afraid to face anyone communicating. In fact, I met someone today, and I said, he's just asked me, who would you like to interview next? I said, the Prime Minister. Bring him. And I'm not afraid. I don't really feel fear in that. I cherish that. So in this area of life where I'm very certain of that, So all that, of course, definitely my mother. I think she went through a certain life growing up, and she career-wise as well, she really came up high, and just by hard work, and she also didn't know anyone. We don't come from a family with with connections.
Okay.
Right. So I think it'd be her, safe to say.
Mom, brilliant. So she made you to feel that you believe that you can do it. That's
no, I don't think she did. I don't think she made me believe in myself. I think believe in yourself doesn't come from somebody else.
It came with you.
It's like that scene from The Matrix, where there's a scene where Morpheus tells Neo, I can only show you the door, you have to open it.
Yeah.
I think that's like that. Like for me to believe in myself was not my mother. My mother gave me the tools. But I still had to build the house.
She was the enabler for
enabler,
you.
Yeah. She was the enabler, yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
And what sort of feeling you get when mom enabled you?
I think this one is a retrospective question. I think looking back, it was... I think when a parent enables a child, it's so important because you will feel that my parents believe in me. And when you feel your parents believe in you, you feel a sense of worth and ability. It's like somebody told me, they said, nothing is special because it is special. Something is special because you make it special. So it's the same thing if you look at God, or God. A statue is just a statue, but you make that statue special with your devotion and your faith. Any religion is not special, but because of the devotees and the people who practice it, they make it special. So same thing goes in everything in life. I think like children, for them to be special, the parent has to first believe that they can be special, or they are.
Amazing.
Yeah.
The catchword today is believe, my friend. It's just popping up everywhere. And I believe.
There we go.
That
I've infected you.
That whenever you bring anybody on board, you also believe on them to do whatever they're supposed to do. Hence, you need to choose the people that's coming on board.
Definitely.
That is linked to whatever that your work that you're doing, where the viewership who's watching it believes in that content, and that's how it all grows. So that's something amazing, that from childhood, from a stutterer to someone who speaks so well, and you're willing to take on PMX, to have a debate, to have a conversation, Hope it comes true. It'll be amazing. I
Hopefully,
wish you all the
hopefully
best.
next year. Yeah.
So belief is what something that potentially is your why that is
Yeah.
burning deep inside, which you also resonated with the person that you met in the Sai Center, the boy,
Yeah.
and you were able to shine that belief in him that he can actually come out of it. Passing a belief torch is something very powerful.
Yeah.
Basically, it creates and changes the trajectory of anyone.
Yeah.
So whoever comes into your life, I believe that you have that feeling that when I'm having this conversation, I am being an enabler and making them to believe because I believe in you. I brought you on board. Let's make sure that whatever that you're going to do also enables other people who are watching this.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Definitely.
Okay.
Definitely.
So this is something
Definitely.
exciting. I mean, thanks for this conversation, my friend, because I didn't know you that deep. Now I know you deeper slightly, which is good. We took our journey all the way to childhood because that's where the raw power, everything is there. So if we want to come up with a superpower that you have, it's basically believing in you and believing in others, which is very important. You can be an enabler for others because you've experienced this metamorphosis that you went through in your life, which you can take this wherever you go. Now use it as your guiding light. Like for me, it is helping you to be happy so that you become great. So happiness is, I took 6 months to find out happiness is the key to making anybody to be great. If we don't work on that, this thing doesn't work.
Yeah.
Because there are many people who are great, but they're not happy. But those who are happy, they're great in their own way. They don't have much money or whatever, doesn't really matter, but they're just super duper great. They're smiling away, they're happy. So use this belief as your why power you're driving. Again, as I said in the beginning, it's just the beginning. Find out more, look at all your role models. There are certain things that are actually guiding you to make a decision. So I feel that you are someone who like to enable them to be a better version of themselves, whatever it is. It could be, when they come, when they have this conversation, when they leave, they should feel better because you believed in them. They should believe that they'll be able to conquer the world, having this conversation. So when the viewership for that person who you interviewed goes up, they get excited. They believe that, hey, whatever that I'm doing, it makes sense. And that could be one of the reasons why you're feeling that, hey, how come I'm not getting this? Because I walked away without the belief. And true enough, it also showed in a different level. Now it all goes down to that level of whether you've done a great job in doing the service of whatever that you're doing. And podcast is what you have taken on board. And it's come back one circle to your speech. It started off, everything started when you were stuttering. Mom pushed you. Now you're having your own podcast and becoming a YouTuber and, generating income and all that. That's amazing on how it started long ago. 7 years, 12 years is your major shift in your life.
Yeah, definitely.
All the things started happening. And when you went to Yogyakarta, you saw what belief that drove these emperors to basically build all this monumental stuff. There was something brewing in them. So I'm sure they were doing things to enable the people to live better by building these shrines, these temples. People can come and congregate. So everything is about adding value in people's life. And I think that is something that I feel in this, having this chat, could be one of the beginning thing that you can take on board and start leading your life full of belief and help others to believe in themselves. So I'm super excited to have this conversation, Vinod, because your viewers know this now, that why you're doing what you're doing. Your podcast is about that. It's about being an enabler of the belief that you have, the person who's going to come, and the conversation that you're going to have, and that belief is going to go in a ripple effect to change the belief to a betterment. Like what you were saying with the stereotypical thing about the Indian and all that, the belief is such a way.
Yeah.
They look in that lens. Maybe that is one of the reasons why you were like, you believe it should be that way, but they're showing this way. But you know what? Just like how I can teach the methodology on how to be a person who don't stutter, I want to create something to change the way for them to having a better perspective over this population. And there are also good people there. There are many good people compared to the small little group of people who are getting drunk, this and that. You're doing an amazing job, and your viewers know that. Keep doing this amazing job and touch more lives. Be the catalyst, be the enabler, make people to believe that they're better than who they think.
Never.
So that's what I wanted to share with you. So what are your thoughts?
I mean, nice. I mean, it's not nice. I've never really spoken about all these things, so it's nice to get it out there. It's fun. It's fun having a chat. Yes, talking about old school stuff.
Yeah. Let it thaw for a while.
Yeah.
Let it run in your mind, and it'll go to your subconscious mind, and then it'll start brewing certain patterns some more. It took for me 6 months. So with this, you can use it for your company also, on how you're actually going to look at your taglines, and how you're going to look at your vision, mission, whatever, from this thing that is actually oozing out from you. That this is what actually driving you, that gets you up to, hey, today I'm going to go and get this thing done. So what is that? When you tweak that, waking up in the morning is hi ho, off to work I go, or are you, I have to go to work, are you? So it's all up to us how you're going to wake up and get excited, right?
Yeah, definitely.
So may this light shine, and for you to take on this world, and we'll be supporting your show. Okay, it's going to be exciting. So that's what I want to share with you today, my friend.
All right, thanks. Nice. So
you can enable others too also.
definitely.
That's the most important. And you know how to come up with the methodology on doing it. And if you don't come up with it, you get very angry because, hey, can't you see this? It's that simple. And you interfere and repair it for them. So keep doing it, and things will work out. So you're already doing it anyway. So now you just add on this belief of yourself and also for others to make them a better version of themselves.
All right, man. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing this. So, guys, if you guys want to find out your why as well, you can drop, we'll be sharing the links to the LOA Centre. Drop them a note and find out your why and get your life back on track and pursuing what you're passionate about. And it really worked for me. So hopefully it works for you as well. Following your passion and being driven by that. I think then it's a very interesting life to live. So thank you all so much. Thank you again for coming on.
A quick one. They would have seen in the camera how your face was lighting up. These are moments that basically come, and it's you. Within you, things are coming, and you yourself, you didn't catch yourself maybe laughing, and you are not the same, who normally sits there.
This is completely. I'm not the one asking the questions. I'm not the one stressed about what's he going to answer. Oh my God, thinking.
So come back to what you started off with, the goal settings and all that. It's vital, because if we know our why, the way we set our goal is very different, because we're coming from a different angle of looking at the things that we want to achieve. So that is something very important. We'll be running our sessions. We'll let you know in the link and all that stuff.
Definitely. So guys, as always, please contact the LOA Centre, and you guys can find out your why and have take a deep dive into yourself. So we'll see you all soon. Thank you again for coming, man. Thank you.
Thanks.
And thank you for doing the Surya KLCC thing. Hey. I got to say.
Yeah. Thanks for inviting, and thanks to Prof. Tajuddin.
Prof. Tajuddin, again, a big shout out.
I've
been mentioning his name too many times.
He might be getting hiccups.
Exactly.
Awesome. Thanks, Vinod.
Take care, guys. We'll see you all soon. Always share your likes and subscribe, and we'll see you all soon. Bye. Take care.